Hello, amigos. It's your boy again. Welcome to the Feeble Amigos show. It's me day. Good to have you all back, amigos. It's been a while, but of course, we're always here for you. Before we start our week 34 reactions, want to, of course, welcome our amigos into the house, of course, as well. Amigo Ayo, good to have you back.
Good to be here. Mhm.
That's good. That's good. And of course, Amigo Sam with all smiles. Good to have you. And for obvious reasons, being Liverpool have been crowned champions today after game 34, and deservedly so. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling excited. I don't know if you guys saw it. I was putting the crown on top of my head and
Oh
I was
my
kissing some
gosh.
badge that I don't have.
Oh my gosh.
I am excited
Rub it
and
in.
also I'm excited because you said deservedly so. If you go on Twitter in the last 6, 7 hours, a lot of people are just saying things like Liverpool does not deserve it. Like the referee gave Liverpool the title from the beginning of the season, things like that. I'm curious to what you guys think, especially I can see Aya's reactions, which tells me that he's not in support of all those garbage. But I'm just ready to get into the show. I'm excited. It's about to be another new seasons coming up, seasons to come for Liverpool, I believe.
No, absolutely. Let's jump into it. Of course, amigos, like, share, and subscribes. Let us know your thoughts about Liverpool's dominance of the Premier League this calendar year, and if you feel like they deserve it or not. Of course, tell us why you feel that way. Either way, your opinions are very important to us, and we'd love to read those and be able to understand where everyone is, regardless of if you're a fan of Liverpool or not. But let's jump into it from an amigo standpoint. Ayo, we'll start with Liverpool's dominance. They have won the Premier League, and I would say deservedly so. From your perspective, this is a team that Klopp eventually moved away from, and a slot came in. Only bought one player in Chiesa, and that's all he's had. Trent has decided to leave the team at the end of the season. Van Dijk and Suarez. I was going to say Suarez. That's been a while, me day. Van Dijk and Mo Salah has signed new contracts to continue their contract stay with Liverpool. Why do you think Liverpool has done so well this season?
A myriad of a lot of things. I think it just has more to do with how well they've controlled the variables that they could affect. It's about squad management. It's about adapting or finding a system that suits the current player profile, and it's about mentality. They have been a successful team, and they might not have won it recently, but that has more to do with the brilliance of Manchester City as opposed to the deficiencies of a Liverpool squad, which is just boasted as some of the best talent in the world. When I saw everything that happened last season, I did just say that I felt that there was not really an issue with the squad. It was an issue with Klopp's system because he no longer had the players to play his system, and he had a squad of players that were more technical than they were industrious. And and adaptations were needed to make because his favorite system is about intensity and the Gengen press. If you can't keep that intensity at the right levels, your game becomes open and it's easier for teams to counter and score against you. And that's what they felt last season. I think Slot brought a more measured approach, which while holding on to some of the core principles that Klopp had instilled, which is still the direct play, wing play, intensity to some extent. He just found a way to modulate this and use the technical ability that was within the squad to control the game in moments, not for the entirety of the 90 minutes, but in moments. And so what you saw was a more balanced side and a Liverpool that was very good at doing things in spurts. So they would have very high intensity moments, then they'll slow it down, and then they'll go high again, and then they'll slow down. So you can see a kind of modulation that might have been orchestrated either in real time by Arnie or just part of their game model. And so they're a good team, wonderful to see. It was great to see Mo Salah score a goal. I don't think he had scored a goal in almost 2 months, but it just emphasized just how important he has been. But also, it's been a team game. McAllister's been playing well. Slabasai's been playing well. Even the guy from the Dutch guy, I keep forgetting his name, the winger,
Got well,
Cody
got Cody
Gakpo.
Gakpo.
Gakpo. Netherlands, sorry. Yeah, and you can tell so much of his personality, and they have very, very good character. No one ever came close. They scored what so far 80 goals. The next best team scored 66 goals, and that 66 goals is not Arsenal. So that tells you everything you need to know. And so, if production levels like that, the way they beat Tottenham, they dismantled them, and they sauntered all to the cup, you can't really deny that they are the best team by far, and this part was a procession. I mean, this is the earliest we've confirmed the Premier League in a while. So, like in terms of the third party not being as competitive as other seasons, but it's up to the other guys to compete, not you to slow down.
I totally agree. It's one of those things where that blueprint of a very successful team was already there from Klopp, and it was a combination of slight tweak to how they attacked and mentality, but also using what you have to the best of your ability that has brought Liverpool's success to the forefront. And you're absolutely right, Ayu. It's one of those things where when you have a team that's been built on solid foundation, there's only so much that that team can do. But when you have good leadership above that team that makes the right decisions, that's what makes it work. And you can see the clearest difference if you're going to compare Liverpool to Manchester United. Liverpool have made more correct decisions than United have over the past 10 years. And it's obvious to see. I'm not going to deny that because I'm a Manchester United fan, but it's pretty obvious. That's what they've won the Premier League. And if United's goal is to win back the Premier League by 2028, they have a long way to go. This is words of Borada, the CEO of the club. So we'll see how that holds out. Before we move on, of course, congratulations are in place, Sam. How do you feel about Liverpool's dominance this season? And I would like you to really be specific about Annie Slot and what he's done to the team that he currently has.
Yeah, first of all, big shout out to Ohio on his analysis. I really, really think there's no way I could have topped that. It's well said and so accurate. So big shout out, bro. Uh, in terms of what Anis Slot has done, what he brought, I would. There's no way I can say without stealing Ayo's point. One is the mentality, and two is the control. Coming off of Jurgen Klopp, yes, we know Jurgen Klopp to be a very successful coach, different mindset, and his game has been figured out. Arne Slot came in, he didn't see much need in terms of buying new players. He thought, okay, we could change the mentality of this new guy. And I have to say, the pre-seasons that we had, I wasn't sure about this guy. When we started the league about 4 or 5 games in, I wasn't really sure yet, but I was starting to believe in the fact that, okay, the players wanted to be there. One, the mindset is changed. And more importantly for me, I think the control that we had, we didn't have a lot of high possessions. I think we had the average, on average, the least possessions in the last 10 years this season. However, we were very protective of our post of our defensive line. I think that was really 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 good. That's why when you look at some of our score lines, it wasn't like big numbers. I'm still surprised that we turn out to a big number in terms of goals. It started with just 1-0 to 1 to 2-0, things like that. But having control of the games, making the right substitution, and bringing the best out of the players that you would not have thought they could give you more is one of the reasons why, without making purchases, without making multiple player purchases, other than just Chiesa, who respectfully to him, he hasn't had that much contribution because of the lack of game time that he's getting. Uh, but the old team, the old guys were able to if I say reimagine, I don't know if that's the right word to use it, but you have players like um, Salah coming out and doing something different. Gravenberch coming out to play a different position that he's ever played for us or even played on a professional team. So being able to use this guy to gain control over our opponent is extremely important. You know, you're controlling the game. Even the games that we were a little shaky, that I'm sitting and watching the games, I'm like, what's going on here? This guy's gonna score us. He is coming up with the right substitution. You know, if there's anything that I like about his coach, it makes early substitution. I think only one or two games where he could have done more, he could have done better, but he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. Coming to the Premier League and winning the title in your first season is a significant achievement. And not only that, getting to final of another local competition, it says a lot about you. Of course, the Champions League, we got crashed out, but incredible performance in the Champions League that got us to the knockout stage. The point I'm trying to make is the mindset change, the mindset shift, and asking for more is what I think gave Liverpool the victory, and also give players, supporters like me, kind of put us to say just shut up and let the coach control the game. Shut up, let the coach run the team, because a lot of pundits, including me, we didn't think this is gonna. I didn't predict Liverpool to be in top three at all. So kudos to the team, kudos to the players. Big congratulations. There's still more work to be done as we go into the next season. We definitely want to change some players, improve some positions, so we can have a better results coming out of next season.
Wonderful analysis. Sam and Ayo, like, share, and subscribe, amigos. Let us know your thoughts, especially around mentality and control that we've seen from a Liverpool team and from their manager as well and his slot this season. Again, congratulations to them for winning the title from a Premier League standpoint. On the other hand, Ayo, Arsenal, they are becoming very consistent, not just being a good team and when they play, but they're very consistent at playing at top two and staying at top two for the past 3 seasons. Okay. Amigos, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts about the mentality and control this Liverpool team has showed. Great analysis from Ayo and Sam as well. We would like to know your thoughts on those. Speaking of mentality, Ayo, let's talk about Arsenal. It looks to me that they are a team that is becoming not just very consistently good on the field, especially playing very tough teams and beating them this season, one of them being Real Madrid, of course. Even though Real Madrid didn't play well, they are still a good team, and you can only play the team that's in front of you. That being said, Arsenal getting top two consistently for the past 3 seasons, it's a good thing. Let's not take that away from them because it's not easy to do that. But what will truly, Ayo, from your perspective, what will truly move the needle for Arsenal to now push Liverpool off that perch from a Premier League title perspective?
Yeah. Just one thing to correct. We beat Real Madrid home and away because we played
Yes, you
better
did.
than them. Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
I was going to say that it's not that Real Madrid didn't play good. No, it was they came out
There was
strong
a
with their guys,
Well,
and they got beat.
I have a different opinion. I felt you all were so good you didn't let them play well. That's what I'm trying to say. Even when they were at home, maybe the
yeah.
first 20 minutes, okay, but you didn't
It's
let
not
them
so
play
much. It's not much that we didn't let them play well. I don't like that phrasing. We controlled the
Give
game,
us not their credit.
and
well.
there
Trying
was
to.
nothing. There was nothing they could do. And we can't say it's a bad team because I just watched the Copa del Rey that happened this weekend, where Barcelona, by the skin of their teeth, beat them. And for a big part of the game, Real Madrid had Barcelona on skates. The fact that they got to the end of the game at 2-2 showed more was more forgiving of Barcelona's deficiencies than it was of Real Madrid. And we see Barcelona as the shoe in to win the Champions League. And so, if that's a level that of the same team Real Madrid can play at, and we make them look average, then I think that says a lot more as to what Arteta has done with this team. And I make that clarification because of the transition to your question, which is how do I interpret 3 seasons of second place finishing? I'm like, it beats 3 seasons of 10th, 6th, and 8th. That's where we're coming from. So we're not coming from a dynastic position where it's like, okay, we were like right there, we were the team to beat, and then we just didn't like hit it 3 times. We lost to uh, one of the strongest coaches and strongest teams we've had in Premier League history, twice in a row, where we pushed them to the last game on some of those things. That's admirable. And this is a season where circumstances that we maybe could have controlled better did not allow us to compete, and Liverpool just had a blinder. Only A players here, and if you're not at the A players, you can't play with them. Mo Salah had a world class delivery, and when his output dropped, we saw what happened to Liverpool over the last 2 months and how they struggled with draws and scraping in, like Sam, you were saying, like the 1-0s, the 2-0s by the skin of the teeth. But his performance and his form was a big driver as well, even considering, obviously, Arne Slot's brilliance and the rest of the team. But Mo Salah was having a worldy uh, of a season to get them to that point. That quality was not replicated in Arsenal. You can argue that Saka's injury might have been, because if there's any player that maybe could approximate even that he'll be the first person you think of, and he was injured. And but I'm not sad or like really really critical because the better team won, and I don't see anything that Arteta could have done better with the situations that he was handled with that would have allowed us to catch and topple Liverpool, especially Liverpool that was no longer playing second party competitions. They weren't playing the EFL Cup, the FA Cup, or the Champions League anymore. They could just focus week to week on the Premier League. Like, you're not catching them, especially if we had the Champions League to think about. I would just say each season is a different challenge. The first season, we had to learn that you can't always attack. You had to learn that you had to know how to defend and absorb pressure. You can't control the game, and you have to be able to like do a lot of work or be good off the ball. And we had to figure out a way to beat the big boys. In the second season, we had to learn. I think it's the second season. I think we're just unlucky. I can't really say much. I think Man City just had the better luck. I think we did everything that we were supposed to do. We scored a record amount of goals. We were very, very good defensively. It just didn't work out. I'll just say unlucky. But this season, the biggest improvement was how Arteta handles the top six. And so what we have seen right now is if you look at our record from there, what's it called? What we're able to do in terms of being able to push Man City, Liverpool, any team that is really offensively strong, manage those games and come out on top. We've been able to do that this season. Where we have struggled are the lower mid-table teams. Sam felt that with his team Liverpool, but they just had that extra bit of quality to get them over the line in these games. That extra bit of quality needed to get over the line in those type of games. We did not have this season, and so even though we've gone so far, we've only had 3 losses. We had almost 13 draws. I think is it 14 now, 13, which is a record number of draws in that Arsenal has got. 13 draws is a lot, and it's just not good enough if you're trying to win the Premier League and compete on other fronts. So where Arsenal has to learn is that they have to find that cutting edge, and they have to plan a little bit better for injuries. And that'll be the only thing. Because I feel like just having either just a better fit forward line, have Jesus, for example, just fit to just have those minutes and take them off different players on either the right, left, or center would have helped tremendously. But he was injured, and then we still went on without replacing him. And then Havertz got injured, Bukayo got injured, Martinelli got injured. I mean, Odegaard got injured, and you're just not going to be able to hit those productivity levels. We need a striker to manage those situations, but this is a good team. I don't see anything here where it's like you need to like throw out the playbook and like start again from scratch. You just need one or two things to get to what we need because everything we're seeing the things that he's doing because it just shows how our results are changing in Europe because we're playing the sides that don't just sit back and defend. When we're playing those sides, you're starting to see the quality that's actually there. The question now is what do we do when we break in breaking down stubborn sides?
No, I agree. And Sam, in that same connection, do you feel like Arsenal should go and get these two world-class players, or just is it a combination of a world-class player and a player that has potential to be world-class, or do you think it's a two players that have the potential to be world-class, but Ateta can mold to adapt to the team? Because we've known how quickly Ateta can let go of world-class players if they start to become an ego and, the lack of a better word, a stumbling block to some of his instructions and that execution on the field. Sam, thoughts?
Hey man, I want to say congratulations to Arsenal, man. To be honest, first of all, like for real. If performances were to be measured and it counts towards your position on the table, I'll give it up. It goes to Arsenal, man. However, the last little nudge that you need to see games through. That's why they have a lot of draws stacked up, right? And of course, at some point, in and out, week in, week out, they didn't have all of the full 11. But they just needed extra nudge. But going back to your point, man, if you want to win and you have the money to go get two top players, go get them. Man City went after Haaland and it changed a lot of things for them within 1 year. That's when within 1 year they won Premier League with him, they won Champions League with him, or something else, treble. Right. So Ateta and Arsenal have really, really, and I say this respectfully, they've gone through a lot for them not to be stacking up trophies right now. When I say gone through a lot, I mean like they put in a lot of performance, a lot of improvements in every place that matters. But if we are gonna get two more players that are gonna come in and change the game, yes, go do it. You know, I'm tired of looking at Arsenal's substitution and I'm seeing older guys, seeing guys that okay, they've played their time out in some place. I'm talking about Jorginho. I'm talking about Shevchenko, even Jesus, right? Um, we want to see people, teams that are performing, teams that are bringing excitement. We want to see them get rewarded, regardless of the fact that they are opponents, right? Only Bukayo Saka can be busting it off and things like that. So the bottom line is they need a striker. Like they need good substitution whereby they can at 1-1 against Everton, some guy comes in at 80 minutes, it changes the game. I don't care who is going to be Isak or whatever. Get Ateta whatever he needs to get Arsenal in a different position. And I think I won't be mad if they win the Premier League next season, to be honest, because they've done some fantastic things, some exciting games compared to the last 6 years, 7 years that we know of Arsenal. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question correctly.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. To add to that, quick fire interest questions. And amigos, I know you would love these questions from our two residential amigos. If you were to have an opportunity to pick two players that will benefit Arsenal today, Ayo, I will start with you first as that question. Sam, I'll also go with you as well. Which two players would you pick today that will absolutely move Arsenal into that top flight Premier League title winners? Two players, any one of them. Like if you had the chance to pick one, or sorry, give me two, but if you had to pick anyone, who would those two be?
Sam, are you gonna go first?
It don't matter. For me, I think I look at them and I see attacking um a little bit of weakness in the forward. I'm not a big fan of Martinelli. I'm not a big fan of uh, Trossard. I would definitely say put Isak in front. And I've been looking at this guy from Dortmund. Is it Adeyemi?
Yes. Oh, I didn't. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a fantastic guy on that left side. Because he has a good control of the ball, unlike Martinelli that is always edged down, and it could dribble too. And more importantly, is a good passer. So I think Isak is going to benefit from that kind of supply. And of course, on the right side, Saka is right there for Isak if he needs it. Those are the two players that jump to my head right now.
No, those are great choices. They're not players that I don't necessarily see having egos, but they have the potential to be world class. I think Isak is nearing there with his consistency. Ayo, I would love to hear your opinions with those.
Yeah, I mean, Isak definitely makes a lot of sense. I mean, he is pretty much as complete a number nine as you're going to get in today's game. Um, a big part of what we're doing that I think is not necessarily the best is we don't have dynamic. We don't have good, sorry, dynamism. We don't have good ball strikers from distance. So players that will take the ball like a Valverde, really, where it's like I'll strike the ball from anywhere with venom and attack. Because a lot of times, because teams are sitting so far back and so deep in your box, you want cutbacks to just outside of the box and players that can take it from those spaces. And so think of like McAllister's goal. So think McAllister's goal from distance against Tottenham, like that specific type of quality. And so for me, it's more the midfield and the left side as opposed to the striker. Because one thing everyone has to remember is like we scored 90 goals last season without a recognized striker. That's not so much. As long as we're creating chances, we will find players to score goals. And so in games like where it gets so tight, you need dynamism. And I think Adeyemi, I like for his pace, but I'm looking forward to like just in the Premier League, a player like Eze. I was very impressed with what he can do in tight spaces and the way he attacks the ball. I think towards the end of the season, he's become very, very impressive. I think we'll get him at a reasonable price and we can build around that. I like Semenyo a lot. Those are two players that I mean I don't see them being more than 70 million max, but I think they'll really, really create that because all we need is just that movement, that direction, that thing that just unsettles players before you get to that final action. That's where we're struggling because everyone can set now. Because every now and then we don't become Man City, but every now and then we can become like eventually teams can make us play like Man City, where we keep going around and around without that penetration. And in those moments, you need players that can do take-ons, especially from central areas, and also have that threat of striking the ball with a lot of veracity. That's kind of why I'm leaning towards Sesko as a striker again. And so I don't necessarily think we need world class players, but we do need a lot more quality that seems to be missing in our team. I agree with you, Sam. I don't want to sell Martinelli, nor do I even want to sell Trossard. I mean, I guess maybe because of his contract, maybe I might sell him. They're just not nailed on starters. They are the players you bring in either to close out a game or to give fresh legs. Therefore, if we're going full throttle, I think I'd like an Eze coming in from the side or Semenyo. I think because also want players that could take load off Saka at the same time. So I like players that are comfortable playing in both wing positions and the number 10 positions, and so we can try different configurations depending on the game. In terms of that central striker, like we can never afford Isak, so I don't know what to say, but he'll be nice too.
You never know. I like those two players, and I think AZ's got the power. Going back to the McAllister's goal, Eze can give you that, and Semedo can body player. Because one of the problems that I have with Saka is so strong, but it's a little tiny, right? And you would probably have the same problem with Adeyemi as well because he's a smaller player. It won't give you the power that you will get with Eze. So those are really good choice. Good, good.
All of a sudden, Eze is now scoring goals and finishing as well too, which I thought has been interesting over the past 2 weeks. I don't know if he's done some special training, but I could tell there's something about his end product that has improved, and he's making Crystal Palace continue to tick in the right direction. So, no, those are great options. Amigos, like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts about what two players should be added to an Arsenal team that can move them forward into that Premier League stardom from a club perspective. In terms of moving the needle forward, I don't think United are in any place to start thinking about stardom just yet, but there's always the theater of dreams. We can only dream. We can only dream. United are about to go through a rebuild, ladies and gentlemen, and that's going to happen this summer. There's going to be a lot of movements in players leaving that club. There will be movement of players coming in as well. The question now is, what quality of players are Ineos is going to allow Emeron to bring into that team? And will they be able to use some of those sales to be able to buy some of the players that we have in mind? It seems to me that yes, our goal is to finish the Europa League at the top and as champions to even get a sniff of Champions League before you can even start talking about quality going into that team. If we don't make Champions League, it's bust. We will pay extra money that Ayas told us we don't have, which I agree with him, that we are going to try to buy these players, or we will buy very few and try to get back there again. My hope is they allow this coach to buy the players he wants. It's a very unique system that requires certain specialties and certain qualities to be able to execute how that gameplay and style needs to be. At the moment, we're just coasting. From my perspective, I would like to see some of the young stars give a chance in the Premier League. They drew with Bournemouth today, and Rasmus scored. Happy for him. The challenge for him is his consistency and finishing. Ayo, I'll go back to you from a United rebuild standpoint. If you were to pick three players that will make us any better, not even to top four, let's just say top 10, what three players would you bring into that team that you think United can afford? Now, keep in mind, as you answer this question, combined sales of 9 players, including Rashford and Anthony. I think Anthony might just be another season-long loan, but players like Rashford and Sancho will leave the club. Based on that money and how much you think Ineos can regenerate, what realistic three players do you think the team can get to make this rebuild a reality?
Um, the first things first is goals. If you're not scoring, you need to figure out ways to do that. Um, the second thing would be wing play, and so you need two wing backs, and you need a striker. The first person I can think of um, is the guy out of Bayer Leverkusen, Frimpong. Is it Frimp? What's his name? That's a person who he dovetails as a
Absolutely.
winger, excellent in take-ons, uh, and has pace and energy for days. He would be someone, and just you probably need someone to because I think Dorgo is decent. However, he needs to mature a little bit, and so there might be someone to rotate with him. I think you have to get rid of players that might not show you the fitness long term. I think Shaw should be moved on because of his wages versus his playing time. But yeah, so you have two wing backs, and then Osimhen. I think you can afford him. Coming out of where is he in Turkey? Fenerbahce or
Galatasaray. Yeah.
Galatasaray.
Galatasaray? Yeah. And so I think his release clause is like 50 mil, and so that'll be a player because if you're going to do direct, lots of running, I think he would suit that system. However, I do think a big part is the wing back because the wing backs are a big part of it, and you need players that can defend okay, but most importantly, when they're on the ball, they operate like forward players, like wingers or number 10s. And I think Frimpong for me is someone that can do that. And Robinson. I don't think you can afford him though. From Fulham will be another one. He'll be a game changer, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can afford him. But Frimpong, I think Bayer is going to. Uh, I think the coach is going to go from Bayer, and then Vultures are going to pick at that squad. And so I think Frimpong will be a good because like Arsenal, we can't use Frimpong because his qualities are not what we're looking for in a wing back. We prefer inverted fullbacks, and so your team, Liverpool too, if they could get Frimpong, they should, but we'll see.
No, those are great choices. You mentioned Frimpong and you mentioned Robinson from Fulham. Who would you buy up top?
Osimhen. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, I really do think that for the amount of money and for the upside and for the physical profile, to someone you can find with crosses, someone you can who can stretch the play, who can occupy defenders properly, and actually can run in behind because he has that pace to burn because of how you play. Because Man United want to play very fast, direct football, and when you have very fast, direct football, the players that can benefit from that, I think Osimhen will be on top of that list. Gyökeres, I don't think Man United will be able to get him, even though he has a great relationship with um, what's your coach again, Amarim. I think he's made for better things than what Man United can provide at the moment. Yeah. Mhm.
I love those choices. I really do. They fit like a glove into that team. To be quite honest, it really does. It really does. Now that I'm thinking about it, it really does. Sam, I'll come to you. Based on the United's rebuild, what three players, different from what I was mentioned, would you think will move this team to even top 10? Let's start from there.
Yeah, I agree with Ayo. If you're not scoring, you can't win games. You can't bring attacking threats, or you can't scare your opponent. So I want to go with Osimhen as well. If they can't get Osimhen, they need another firecracker number 9 that I can't think of any right now. But Osimhen is out there. We everyone is looking. Um, in terms of other position, I think they are talking about Cunha. I think it's Manu or Chelsea. Some other team is talking about him. Cunha. I think it's going to be a great addition to the team. The other guy that I also see, and I just checked now, he's got a long-term contract with Newcastle. Is Joel Linton. Joel Linton, I think, is rug Man United. Man United midfield falls apart a lot, especially when Fernandez is carrying too much. When Fernandez is tired, you need somebody else like Fernandez, and I think Joe Linton is going to give that to you guys. Somebody that can sweep as a good midfielder, go forward when needed. I think those three will be a great addition, and they also need to start thinking of substitution as well. For I think Mazuari is the guy that's playing your three right now. I don't know. There's been sometimes few cracks in his game. I think he's a fantastic player, but they need to start thinking of substitution for some positions like that as well. Um, but those are I see them just stretching your midfield and attacking. I think they will be better.
Definitely like the idea of Cunha. I think I have this weird feeling he's going to be like another Bruno Fernandes signing that will transform that team especially even more from an attacking standpoint. I also feel like the call to have players to be replaced. I think they're gonna go more young stars in the academy for that. I'm hearing players like Matando, they're trying to move him into the first team, and we already have a plethora of young stars as well. It looks to me that they're trying to emulate Arteta's idea, Ayo, of buying different young players and then going through that tough moments with them through those games and letting them develop together as a mentality, which was what Ateta did when he came in, and then now it's coming to fruition where you have young players that are now considered mature, but they're still young in age, and they're performing consistently well with a few sprinkles of experience in there. It looks to me that that's what United wants to do. Hence why they're buying a lot of these young players, not wanting to spend more than a certain amount of time money unless it's a player they absolutely need. And I have this strong feeling if United get Champions League, they could get an Osimhen, they could get a Cunha, they could push Fulham for Robinson. That's going to be the key. Ayo, any thoughts on those selections there?
Yeah, it's difficult. I watched the Wolves game, and the Wolves Man United game, the one they lost 1-0, and I wasn't sure. I didn't know that Fonseca was a Portuguese manager, and he came from the same school of thought as uh, as
Mourinho.
Amorim. And Wolves are like,
And
what are
Mourinho
they?
too. Sam, you're right.
And
It's the same school of thought.
and they're 14th. And honestly, like even with Cunha, I've not been impressed with what Wolves have done this season. And so that begs the question: is do we even know that Amorim's system is ideal for what's it called for challenging for the Premier League? We don't know that yet because the Premier League is not Portugal. I respect Portugal, and while the team was good, and I don't say the coaching in the Premier League is good. If someone like as prolific as Fonseca is at Wolves and is in what 14th, 15th place, that tells you just the amount of talent that you have throughout the league. And so if they have the thinking, the players to counter you, like so what they have to do so much that I think is more important is to make sure they can get goals first of all, right? And that's like Imperials, like anything that's not about getting more goals, because I do think they play solidly. I think they build up from the back very well. It's serviceable. Like I think they recover the ball well enough, at least now compared to when he started. It's putting those balls where you have chances, putting them away, putting those goals away. And I think if they can focus on that, I think really they're a top 6 to 8 team. That would be what they are now. Now, getting from there to the summit, that's something that I don't know as to what will be done to navigate because no one is going to stop and wait for Man United to catch up. That's the biggest issue with that. So I wish him all the luck. I like him as a coach. I like him as a person, just like the way he communicates and the way he speaks about his team. But I really do think that I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have the faith in the leadership that they understand what needs to be done. But Barada is a accomplished. He's accomplished head of football, so maybe he knows something that we don't. Yeah, or most likely he does.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he does, because the way this team is going, if this doesn't work or they don't get in the players to make this work, it's going to be serious questions being asked about decision making in that club, even more so than it already is today. In terms of Amaranth's formation, my hope as a coach, especially recently, I've had to learn you have to have plan A, plan B, and plan C. You have to. You have to have plans. You have to have plans. Relying on just one formation isn't going to bring you success
God
because
bless you, brother.
thank you, because your ability to adapt to different situations and different styles of play would require to you to have to make changes and adapt to your team to what they can execute based on what's in front of them. And every time I've tested that theory, especially today's game, has proved to be that way. When you change the formation, you change style of play, and you have a system and the girls follow instructions, they execute it very well. That's why you can come back from 3-0 to a 3-3 game in the space of 20 minutes. Now, that's youth soccer. We're talking about professionals here. Even more so, the fact that they're paying money to do this, they have to make sure that they execute to the coach's instruction. That's where the challenge to the coach comes in. If you have the same formation, can you make certain changes around it? If you can't go completely different from what you've been doing, can you change things around it to adapt to the situation that you're observing? If you're not able to do that, it's going to be tough and you might not be given the chance to make it that long. Amigos, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for your time today listening to us with our Game 34 reactions. We do have a wonderful treat for you coming up. We are working together to review our earlier predictions from a Premier League top six standpoint. We did this August of last year, right before the Premier League started. One of our next four one of our next four contents that are coming up, we will have a session where we compare where the Premier League is now versus what we predicted in terms of soft top six and see how drastic. Of course, I've already lost. I've already lost in this. I'm just gonna say now how much different our predictions were then to what we are seeing now as we close out the season from a Premier League standpoint. Amigos, you don't want to miss that. We'll have more content for you coming. As always, thank you so much for your time. Be safe, stay positive. We'll talk to you all soon. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys.